Kendall stared at the screen, her heart pounding. An email from an unknown sender, Joker, sent shivers down her spine. "I know your secrets," it read. "Meet me at the clock tower midnight. Come alone." Fear warred with curiosity. Who was this Joker, and what did they know? Kendall's life had been shrouded in mystery since childhood. She had grown up with her aunt, her parents' fate unknown. This email felt like a key to her past, a dangerous and tempting key. Kendall decided to go. She had to know the truth. As midnight approached, she found herself at the foot of the ancient clock tower, its shadow looming over her like a watchful giant. The air crackled with anticipation. She could feel her pulse quicken with each step she took towards the unknown. The Joker's email had awakened something deep within her, a thirst for answers that could no longer be ignored. A figure emerged from the shadows, cloaked in darkness. "You came," a voice rasped, low and menacing. "I knew you would." Kendall's breath caught in her throat. She recognized the voice. It belonged to Colson, a shadowy figure from her past, a man her aunt had always warned her about. Colson smirked, his eyes gleaming with a strange light. "Let's just say our families are intertwined. The truth about your parents, your legacy, it all begins tonight." Kendall listened intently as Colson spoke, his words weaving a tapestry of betrayal, forbidden love, and hidden identities. She learned about the Knights Templara, a secret society her ancestors belonged to, guardians of ancient knowledge and powerful artifacts. The weight of her lineage pressed down on her. She was not just Kendall, the orphaned girl. She was heir to a legacy that stretched back centuries. "Your parents," Colson continued, his voice a low murmur, "they tried to protect you, to break free from the Templara's grip." Colson explained how Kendall's parents had fallen in love despite being from opposing factions within the society. Their love was forbidden, a threat to the Templara's power structure. Kendall's hands clenched into fists, her mind reeling. The parents she had always mourned were not just victims of a tragic accident, as she had been led to believe. They were rebels, fighting for their love and their daughter's freedom. But they failed, Colson said, a cruel smile twisting his lips. The Templara always gets what it wants, and now they want you, Kendall. Colson's words hit Kendall like a physical blow. She was not free from the Templara's influence. She was a target, a pawn in their game of power. Her life, her very identity, felt like an elaborate lie. A sudden gasp escaped Colson's lips. He stumbled back, clutching his chest, his eyes wide with shock. "Impossible!" he choked out, his voice barely a whisper. He's alive." Kendall watched in confusion and growing concern. Who was Colson talking about? What was happening? Before she could question him, Colson straightened up, his gaze hardening with resolve. It seems our little meeting has been interrupted," Colson said, his voice regaining its composure. He turned to Kendall, his eyes filled with a strange mixture of fear and excitement. "It's time you met Dennis Eagle-Eye, a man who was thought to be dead, a man who holds the key to your past and the future of the Knights Templara." Kendall's mind raced. Dennis Eagle-Eye, a name whispered in legends, a figure shrouded in mystery, was alive, and he was connected to Kendall's past. Colson led her through a labyrinth of underground tunnels, the air thick with the smell of damp earth and forgotten secrets. They finally reached a hidden chamber, dimly lit by flickering torches. In the center of the chamber stood a figure, tall and imposing, his back turned towards them. "Dennis," Colson said, his voice echoing in the silence. "We have a guest." The figure slowly turned, revealing a face etched with time and hardship, his eyes sharp and piercing like an eagle's. Section 4. The Knights Templar Legacy. Dennis Eagle-Eye, once a revered leader within the Knights Templara, now lived as a recluse, guarding secrets that could shake the foundations of the society. He looked at Kendall with a mixture of sadness and knowing. "You've grown," he said, his voice deep and resonant. "The blood of the Templars runs strong in you." Kendall hung on to his every word. Eagle-Eye spoke of a legacy that was both a blessing and a curse, a responsibility that Kendall could not escape. She learned about the Templars' true purpose, to protect ancient artifacts known as the kaleidoscopes, objects of immense power that held the key to unlocking forgotten knowledge and bending reality itself. But the scopes were also objects of desire and corruption, coveted by those who sought to exploit their power for their own selfish gains. Kendall's parents had died trying to prevent a faction within the Templara from obtaining these artifacts. "The Templara is fractured," Eagle-Eye explained, his voice filled with a weary sadness. Greed and lust for power have poisoned their hearts. He placed a hand on Kendall's shoulder, his grip firm. You, Kendall, are the last of your bloodline. The fate of the Scopes, the fate of the world, rests on your shoulders. Kendall felt an overwhelming sense of responsibility settle upon her. She was the last line of defense against a threat that could shatter the very fabric of reality. Section 5. Bloodlines and Betrayal. As Kendall delved deeper into the world of the Knights Templara, she uncovered a web of deceit and betrayal that stretched back generations. She learned about her family's connection to Colson, a connection that went far beyond what she could have imagined. Colson, it turned out, was her half-brother, born from a forbidden love affair between Kendall's father and a high-ranking female member of the Templara. Their rivalry was not just about power, it was personal, fueled by years of resentment and a thirst for vengeance. Kendall struggled to process this newfound knowledge. Her family history was a tangled mess of love, betrayal, and hidden agendas. The people she thought she could trust, the people she was bound to by blood, were the very ones who had orchestrated her parents' downfall. The weight of their betrayal felt crushing. Every truth uncovered seemed to chip away at her sense of self, leaving her feeling lost and adrift in a sea of secrets and lies. She confronted Colson, demanding answers. Why? Why did you do it? She asked, her voice raw with emotion. Colson merely smirked, his eyes cold and calculating. They took everything from me, he hissed, his voice laced with venom. My birthright, my family, my love. Now it's my turn to take what's rightfully mine. Kendall realized with a chilling certainty that Colson was beyond redemption. He was consumed by his own darkness, determined to claim the Scopes and unleash their power upon the world.